Encounter with Palani Swami, visit to Kuruvapuram, and the efficacy of the constant meditation about Sripada Srivallabha. Om Shri Sai Nathaya Namaha. Shankar Bhatt says, I resumed my travel from Vichitrapuram only due to the mercy of Sripada Srivallabha. My mind was eager to visit Parameshwara in Chidambaram. My travel continued for 3 days in a happy way. I was getting food without asking for it. On the 4th day, I stood at the threshold of a Brahmin's house and begged for food. A ferocious housewife came out of the house and yelled that there was no food. I waited for some time outside the house. The householder came out and said, I am not fortunate enough to extend hospitality to guests and visitors. My wife is a great shrewd. When she gets angry, she breaks earthen pots on my head. In this matter, my wife and the wife of my guru stand on an equal footing. However, there is one difference. My wife demands from me the cost of pots broken, but the wife of my guru does not harass him in that manner. Just now, some pots were broken on my head. There is no dearth of food and water in my house, but I must compulsorily reimburse the cost of the broken pots immediately. This is very troublesome to me. If I could get some money distributed during religious functions as sambhavna, today there would be no trouble. If it is not possible, then I must borrow the money from someone. I can only repay the loan whenever I get money through sambhavnas. Out of the money received by way of sambhavnas, I used a portion of it for the repayment of debts, and rest is handed over to her. This system continued for some time. However, in the recent times, she is taking away all the amount of my sambhavnas. Therefore, I am not able to repay the loans. People who know my position are no longer coming forward to offer me any loan. They are asking me, how will you repay the loans? Are you thinking that you can repay the debts when you receive the money through sambhavnas? That way is also closed now. As I am rich, no one is giving any donation. Moreover, they are ridiculing me. I must now pay the cost of the broken pots. After scolding you sharply, my wife called me inside the house and said, there is a pilgrim in the street. You go along with him and bring a donation received at any place. Then only you will receive food in this house. Then that henpecked husband told me that he would come along with me. He said that he knew very well all the houses of the Brahmins in the village, and that they might get meals as well as money as dakshina. I was taken aback. I thought, Sripada Srivallabha, what is this horrible test? I went to each and every house in that village of Brahmins. Along with that Brahmin, no one offered any meals, not to speak of offering any financial help. Then that Brahmin who accompanied me lamented, till now I am only unlucky. As you joined with me now, your fortune was also lost, and you also became unlucky like me. Then I told him, Sri Dattatreya is omnipotent Lord, who provides food to all creatures. He dwells in Kuruvapuram in this Kali Yuga, assuming the name and form of Sripada Srivallabha. I am going there to see him. Let us sit at the foot of that Audambra tree, chanting his name. Let us leave it to the mercy of Sri Datta. The Brahman agreed to that. Hunger was scorching in the stomach. We were chanting the name of Sripada Srivallabha in a feeble voice. While we were continuing the chant of the name of Sripada, servitors of the king of Vichitrapuram approached us and submitted. Sirs, the Yuvraj is now able to speak. His muteness or his dumbness was removed. The king ordered us to immediately bring you. Therefore, you please come along with us. I could not disclose our miserable plight to those royal servants. I told them that I could not come alone and that they should take my companion also along with me. The servants of the king agreed to that. They took us with all respect seated on the back of the horses. Seeing this, the residents of the Agraharam were utterly amazed. The king said, Mahatma, even after knowing that you are a great scholar, I sent you with empty hands without honoring you. After you left, the prince fell unconscious. We did a number of services to him. After a long time, he opened his eyes and began uttering Sripada Srivallabha Digambara Digambara Sripada Vallabha Digambara. He sung this song, and the prince disclosed that a very tall, extremely handsome yogi of 16 years appeared and placed his holy ash in his mouth. Who is that yogi? Where is his residence? What is the relationship between Lord Sridatta and that yogi? Please tell us. I submitted with humility. In what way can I describe the glory of Sripada Srivallabha? He is actually an incarnation of Lord Datta. His form of incarnation is very extraordinary as that of the incarnation of Sri Krishna. What I heard about him is only very little. I am travelling to Kurvapuram to have his darshan. I am visiting sacred places and holy man on the way. The learned people of Vichitrapuram wondered at this strange happening. They praised Sripada Srivallabha in various ways because the king now got his good nature back. They were rid of the troubles and that their Yuvraj's dumbness was cured on the account of their austerities for 40 days. The king honored me with a donation of gold. The king's preceptor said, Sir, wisdom dawned on me after so many days. I realized that Shaivates by abusing Vishnu and Vaishnavites by abusing Shiva are only inviting sin, and that no purpose is served. As a result of our abusing of God, we experienced all troubles. With or without knowing, we observed austerities for 40 days for propitiating Lord Datta. Thanks to the advice of Madhav Nambudri, we are very indebted to you. When we took leave of them, Madhav Nambudri also expressed his resolve to come along with us. We agreed. We three returned to the village of my Brahmin friend. We distributed the gold given to us by the king to the Brahmins of that Agraharam. After receiving gold, my friend's arrogant wife offered us food. Afterwards, she became a devotee of Lord Sripada Srivallabha. She turned docile, leaving her previous arrogant temperament. Madhav Nambudri and I travelled towards Chidambaram. Sage Agastya appointed Parabrahma Shastri, a resident of Rayali village situated in Godavari region, for the priesthood of Dharmashastra Ayappa Deva. In the course of time, Vedic scholars from the village Namburu of Gartapuri were invited by the royal families ruling Malayala Desa. Many Brahmins left Namburu and propagated Vedic knowledge in Malayala Des. These people are called Nambudri Brahmins. The ancestors of Adi Shankara also belong to Namburu. Nambudri Brahmins are famous for their religious observances and traditions, discipline, devotion, proficiency in mantra tantra, yantra practices. But Madhav Nambudri was an unlettered one. He was earning his livelihood working as a cook in the houses of some Brahmins. He lost his parents in childhood. Close relatives did not help him. He had an unshakable devotion towards Lord Datta. After hearing about the incarnation of Sripada Srivallabha, he was eager to visit him as soon as possible. We heard that there were some great siddhas near Chidambaram Pitambaram. We visited Sri Palani Swami, an old hermit leading a solitary life in the hills. When we arrived at the entrance of the cave of Sri Palani Swami, he saw us and greeted us. Both Madhav and Shankar are coming together. What a fortune! We realized that he was a great Siddha who could call us by our names even without our contacts. Merciful Sri Swami said, "My sons, it is time to cast off this body and enter into a youthful body in accordance with the command of Sripada Srivallabha. The age of this body is 300 years. It is the order of Sripada Srivallabha that I should leave this body and live for another 300 years in a new body. Even the liberated ones during life and those who cross the circle of birth, death, order of creation should return when Sripad orders them to come back. The great resolve that administers the entire creation has incarnated in the form of Sripada Srivallabha in this Kali-yuga. His descent will always take place in the subtle worlds of higher regions. To come in human form is rather rare. He is a comprehensive yogic incarnation. Incarnations emerging from a fraction of his infinite powers always takes place on this earth to protect his devotees. My son Shankara, you have mentioned about Sage Kanad and his theory of atoms in Vichitrapuram. Please explain in detail. The next episode will continue from here. Om Sai Ram.